My dearly beloved brothers and sisters in the faith, I would like to first welcome our children from the Montessori who have come here to participate with us at the Holy Mass. So welcome. Today, the first Friday of Lent. Fridays are very important days in the Lenten season. These are the days when we focus on the passion and suffering of our blessed Lord that he endured on the cross. It is the day also when we pray the Stations of the Cross on Fridays of Lent. On this first Friday of Lent, the Church wants us to reflect on a very important topic. It's the topic of fasting, or in fact, you can extend it to anything that you do for the Lord during the season of Lent, all the penances that we do. And I think the Church wants to warn us today that all those penances have to rather be directed outward rather than inward. Outward rather than inward. I remember when I was in the seminary back many years ago, when Lent came, even the seminarians would compete who is going to do better penances, who is stronger. It was like a competition. And instead of penance being done for God, it was done to elevate yourself. I think the Church is warning us today, we have to be careful and always keep in mind the intention that guides our penances. In the first reading today, we have an example of that when the people in the Old Testament were doing all those penances and fastings, but they were doing them for the wrong reason. They were doing them for themselves. And the prophet Isaiah tells them, "Why do you wonder that God is not listening to you?" They said, "Why do we fast, and God, you do not see it? We afflict ourselves, and you take no note of it." And God basically answers, because you do it wrongly, you do it for a wrong reason. You have to be focused on outside yourselves, not inwardly. He says to them that if they take care of the poor, if they do the things for those who are bound unjustly, untying the thongs of the yoke, if they set free the oppressed, break every yoke, when they share the bread with the hungry and shelter the oppressed, then the Lord will listen to them. So fasting, penance must be done out of love, and it has to be directed on the outside of us. You know, I was thinking this morning that today in our culture, we live in this era of obsession with health. You can only turn on the TV on any night, and when you look at the advertisements, they will tell you about all the new medicines that you can take, all the new fitness programs and dietary regimens that you can take. Even when, often when we wish somebody something, we say, "I wish you good health." There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, health is something that we all want, wishes of good health. Health is important. We want to be healthy. There is nothing wrong with that. However, there is a danger, I think, in that kind of approach. It turns us inside of ourselves, inwardly. You know, you begin to think what I can do for myself to be healthy. It's kind of, I think, egocentric. This idea of, I want to take care of myself in the best way that I can. It's for me. And that can even sneak into our spiritual life. That kind of thinking that I just do it for myself, want to elevate myself. I am telling you this because there is a line in the first reading today that I focused on in my prayer this morning. And this is the line. When God says you can do all these things when you fast, And what is going to be your reward? God says, your wound shall quickly be healed. But I checked the other translation, which I think is better. The translation here is, your wound shall quickly be healed. But the other translation that I checked says this, your health will bloom. I like it better. Your health will bloom. So God says to us, only when we stop concentrating so much on ourselves, on our life, even on our spiritual life, we will be heard when we do all these things for God and for other people, including our fasting and our penances. And finally, the patron saint of today, probably not too many of you know, is Saint Conrad of Piacenza. He is the patron saint of February 19th, and he exemplifies exactly what I've been talking about. Conrad of Piacenza, he died in 1354, and when he was a young man, he was not close to God at all. One time they went hunting with his friends, and they set up fires in order to get the animals to run out of the forest. The fire got so much out of control that it burned a village. So the village was burned in that fire. The officials were trying to investigate and to find out who was responsible for that burning, that fire in the forest. Conrad hid himself because he didn't want to be found out. They caught a poor farmer, and they said that he did it, and they sentenced him for torture and death. Now when Conrad saw that farmer being led to his death, his heart was moved. He said, I just can't allow this to happen. An innocent man will die for me. So he came out and said that he was responsible. And from that moment on, it was complete transition of his life. The rest of his life was devoted to penance and fasting. But he was not doing this just for himself, because when he fasted every day, he went to the local hospital to bind the wounds of the sick and to care for them. He exemplified perfectly what Isaiah talks about in the first reading. That's what fast is about. It's not about ourselves, but it's about how we can love better and love God and our brothers and sisters better. Exemplify that love of Jesus. So you can meditate on that first reading again. It's a wonderful reflection for the beginning of Lent, as we can reevaluate our penances and practices and do them for the right reason.